when
really...
it starts going. I know, man. That's life for me. But no, I'm actually very excited here for game number 5. And I think going on to your point here, as we talk about depth, is it also breeds greatness, right? Like, we send the best teams to the MSB to compete for us. We want to win another BlizzCon.
Exactly.
So we can say BlizzCon 2018 when discussions start to happen, instead of BlizzCon 2015 for North America. I want to have that fight back and forth.
I don't think it's a fight. If I have the choice between winning a single tournament when nobody really cared and winning 2 years everything that's there, then I know what I chose.
Oh, okay. Well, Calder brings out the scales.
That's me personally, but like, whatever floats your boat.
Scales been brought out, man. Dang, that was pretty savage, but
why was
accurate.
that savage? Yeah, like, you
accurate.
started it.
I did. My fault, man.
Yes.
I brought it around. All right, so we're getting ready for BOE.
Yes, that's so some of those map choices are really interesting if you think about it, because BOE is a map where Team Liquid played 4 times and they lost 3. So not really a map where you would say, okay, this is where we feel confident. But again, they changed a few things, and the meta, of course, changed as well. So they feel this is the map where with a good draft, they can take Dignitas down. And it comes down to the last map. And what do we traditionally see? First pick. Losing team says, hey, we want to have the first pick, and then we're going for it. This is different. Liquid actually says, this is the map where we're going to make it happen. So I'm game. Show me what you got.
We've had many times where Dignitas finds a kill or two, destroys the Immortal, and just pushes down the lane and ends the game early. So Team Liquid, when it comes to this battleground, needs to make sure they either A, are in a good spot defensive-wise if they lose somebody, or B, they are playing on point to where they are grabbing the Immortals and keeping Dignitas at bay. Let's go ahead and hop into it.
I'm just happy that we see such an exciting series here. I'm super happy for the games that we saw. Some of them feel a bit weird, like all over the place. You know, like just 2 boxes dropping defense completely and just going for an all knockout, just one punch after another. That's exactly what Dragonshire felt to me. There was just, at some point, it was just an exchange of blows until one fell, until someone got a slight edge and could run away with it. And I wouldn't mind seeing something similar here in Battlefield of Eternity, where Dignitas, first of all, is currently also thinking about banning out Garrosh again, something they did already on our second map, which was, of course, Volskaya, after Liquid really showed them how much of an impact they can have with Garrosh on our first map, Tomb with Spider Queen.
I mean, that's when Heroes is the most exciting, though, right? When we're going jab for jab all the way through. A full-on engage happens, but nobody dies because they're able to save each other. I really appreciate what we're seeing here between Dignitas and Team on Liquid, because it's kind of hard to see like a composition that comes in, finds a kill, and it's like, all right, well, the team fight's over, right? They're both able to match neck and neck, and let's see if they can keep that up here. My Ev banned out, as well as Tracer. Garrosh is still up and available.
Yeah, and Liquid just stays true to the strategy. Ban out Tracer. Whatever you do, don't give Tracer over to Team Dignitas. They're just too strong with it, too impactful. Let's not play that game. And I can absolutely respect that. Coming into this with the preparation and saying, okay, a lot of the strategies of Team Dignitas center around Tracer play. Let's just eliminate that and take it from there.
So Dignitas thinking about their first pick here. A couple of options floating around. They used to pick Genji pretty often for their first pick on this battleground.
And this is also, of course, now another situation where you have to think how much do you value Garrosh, and they answered right away with the first pick on him. So he has really shot up all the way up to the top. It's also, I talked a bit about how Team Liquid doesn't have the best track record here, but let's not forget that Dignitas only played this map once and they actually lost. Very different setup back then, though. Yeah. So they played with Lunara, with Genji, and Dehaka and Nubarak Lucio at that time. Lucio at this point not even relevant, at least not to what we've seen so far today. So very different setup.
Poor Lucio, man.
And Sonya and Medivh again. I have to admit that I really like what Team Liquid started off with.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see if they're going to move it to the Malfurion here, which I feel like would be one of their better choices. Twilight Dream for when Sonya comes in, but also Portal Control and Garrosh Malfurion combo, which we talked about in game number 1 of this entire series. Just being able to find a target and take them away from your opponent and then kill them quickly is always a strength.
Let's go a step further. Does Dignitas ban Stukov?
After they get Malfurion here?
Yeah.
We'll just grab one of the two and then ban the other.
Yeah, because the entire setup of Team Liquid has really centered around the 2 picks they already have and a lot of Stukov play.
Wow.
And right now, not even a consideration on the support here. They could see again Uther, of course, to be taken with Genji here, but straight for the brothers.
Yeah. And suddenly they're in a position where they say, okay, well, if you guys don't ban out one, we won't have to ban out one, and we get one anyways. So now they get Immortal clear with the Hanzo, and they get kill potential with the Genji.
So there's, of course, two things left for Liquid. Either you target the solo lane, or you target the support with your ban. One of the two. And Team Dignitas has a bit of a rougher job, I feel, because I mean, in terms of... You could ban out either Malfurion or Stukov and take the other. Probably going to play with Stukov if they go down that path, but if they target the solo lane, they could try and get rid of... Again, Blaze comes to mind. I didn't expect Genji and Hanzo to be picked as a duo from Dignitas side.
And neither did Team Liquid. They're trying to figure out what they want to ban. Do you ban the Stukov, risk the Malfurion getting banned, and then you pick up Rhaegar so you have a cleanse? They decided to go ahead and ban out the Malthael.
Focusing fully now on the solo lane here. And Malthael also, okay, it depends on what kind of tank they are now trying to play with, but this is again the question where Dignitas has to ask themselves, do you ban Diablo? And it seems like that's what they're going to do, especially with the ban against Malthael that helps out hit point heavy tanks. So right now, Dignitas basically has to, it feels like. If you have Leyline Seal into Apocalypse and then a Sonya on top of it, Malthael already banned out. Yep. The entire setup that they have already doesn't cater really towards dealing with Diablo, so I feel you have to ban them.
Especially on this battleground too. Diablo, being able to get those knock-ins, the corridors are small, so easy Leyline Seal setups. We've seen so many Leyline Seal setups into 3 to 4 members. Very possible. So Dignitas bans out the Diablo, and Team Liquid will take Stukov and Muradin. So they get a front line, decent amount of aggression, the combo of Sonya, Muradin, and Stukov, which they've been picking up a lot in this series. They're feeling pretty comfortable.
Muradin also can hop out if Garrosh grabs him.
Yeah.
I mean, we have several tools against it now. So we have Sonya who can survive quite a bit thanks to Whirlwind if it doesn't get interrupted, and so far we don't have a lot outside of the taunt that you can play around. Stukov can follow any throw up with his silence. We have also Medivh with a portal, and Muradin can hop out, so there's a lot more of mobility on their side now. And how does Dignitas now go for this? I mean, I would really like them to get some additional CC with the setup they're running here. Uther would provide that to an extent.
Sure. But do you prefer the Malfurion for the Garrosh combo?
Malfurion would be better to deal with Medivh just because he can root the portal, so that would make the life of Team Liquid a bit harder in that sense. But for Genji, of course, having the Divine Shield readily available for the combo, that would be fantastic for him.
And then we're looking for that top laner for Wubby to pull out. Dahaka's still up. Is this the point that we get him?
I don't think so.
Malfurion? Tyrion. Okay.
I like that. Okay, I'm in the same boat right now. I'm looking at these combos that they're playing, and first of all, we have, of course, some changes to the meta that we already talked about, where several priorities have changed because of the reworks that came into this patch. But at the same time, it feels like both of these teams are going down to the wire with this. And it's really just a matter of, okay, are we in our comfort zone? With Tyrael, you can make a lot happen here with a good sanctification alone. And it also allows you to race for the core, for example. We've seen that so many times where a Tyrael composition can just go to the core, you drop a sanctification, you push the damage out. Now this is not necessarily the comp that you would expect to go for a race, but it's always a possibility towards the later stages that you play around that sanctification to get more core pressure done.
Range damage. He's coming here for Team Liquid. And they pick up Junkrat. So they have race with Sonya, but I don't think they have race to match Hanzo, so it feels like they're going to try and get some fights to go their way.
I mean, the displacement, again, there's so much happening for them right now.
On both teams.
Yeah, I would say from a mobility aspect, it's mostly Team Liquid, though. There's definitely tools for Dignitas as well, but if you look at Team Liquid, you have Medivh, first of all, that's already a big one. Then Muradin has the mobility where he can jump in and out. You have Junkrat for displacement. So I'm again liking what Liquid has. I love that they stay true to what they've shown so far. I mean, at this point, we have seen a very clear focus on Medivh play in general, oftentimes comboed off with Sonya, who's just fantastic. Like both of the heroes that have received reworks, and then on top of that also Stukov. That has been the trio that Liquid has banking. It's the backbone of their compositions. If one is banned out, they try to replace it, but it's always the idea that they're going in with. And we have seen similar ideas mirrored by the play that we've seen from Zealots earlier. So one of the questions that we, of course, have going into the weekend is that going to be the same case for every single other team, that those are the core heroes that we are seeing right now? So far, I'm really enjoying it. If we, of course, have that throughout the entire weekend, things might change a bit. But I love how aggressive a lot of these compositions are right now.
For me, I think I'm leaning over towards Dignitas a little bit here. I think the Eastern Clash has sold me on how strong Hanzo can be on this battleground. And we'll see if Dignitas, who's here on the left, can deliver. Xaylia playing Malfurion, Wubby on Tyrael, Snitch on Genji, Poik on Hanzo, and JPL playing Garrosh.
And over to the right side, we have the Germans with Hazobs on Medivh. We have Sport Billy on Murden, Splendor on Stukov, Eternal on Sonya, and Norok on the Rat.
And off the lanes we go. W build coming in for Hanzo, Groundbreaker build for Garrosh. Looking for those combos, but look to the top lane. Already some prey on that Sonya.
Yeah, my introduction for Team Liquid is also off by now. By now we should actually call them the Bulgarians and a couple of Germans that they snuck in there as well.
How many Bulgarians do they have now?
3. I'm actually not 100% sure, but it should be 3.
Team Liquid's being invaded, man.
Like at least Splendor and Eternal. With Sport Billy, I'm never really sure exactly. I always keep forgetting, but I think he's from Bulgaria too. If not, I make him an honorary German because he's fluent in German since he grew up with the language. So that counts.
And he's good friends with Hasus. So there you go.
Exactly. So
proof.
That makes at least half German.
Genji is staying up here on the top lane, and we suddenly have a 2-on-3 rotation. As Genji looks to harass Sonya a little bit, with Medivh finally coming up. Genji thinking about coming to the bottom lane, where JPL steps forward. No kill should really pop out for our team. Norok in a good spot to be able to drop down that knockback, but Team Liquid not in a position to quite get it, as Dignitas answers around pretty well.
Yeah, and at this point we have again Hazobs, of course, on Medivh, and Medivh's 100%, or Sonya's and Medivh's 100% win ratio has been broken already a bit earlier, but especially on the last map, Hazobs not really having the game that he would have liked there, especially with him dying so often that he could never even complete his quest. That was, of course, a huge issue for them. This time, I would expect him to play a little bit more passive towards the early stage until that's done. And a very early aggression towards the camp here. JPL throwing Murden around, and without anybody else being there, Poik is immediately realizing that something's going on and starts to work towards the camp, but also Eternal and Hazobs are both rotating over after they cleared the top. So this is an easy camp pickup for Team Dignitas. An interesting rotation from Liquid that puts a lot of pressure onto the bot lane.
What I like about that rotation is that they threaten the idea of a 5-man fight, so Dignitas moves it up, and they bring Genji down and slow down the movement to the top lane so they don't miss any experience. But because Hasselhoff's never fell out of Raven form, he's able to get that top lane just in time and soak the experience. Well timed out by Team Liquid. They get the camp, and they also are able to stay neck and neck in experience.
Yeah, so, okay. For now, we have both of the teams aiming for level 4, and then the first Immortal should be announced in just a few seconds here. But we have a 3 versus 2, so very fluid between the the bot and the top lane. And so far, it's Liquid who tries to apply the pressure a bit more. Genji is, of course, the one zipping around and attempting to maybe get the damage in. And he actually gets it against Hazu, and that's what Medivh has to be very careful of. Hazu sits at 8 stacks. It's not a lot yet, but still, the pressure is going to be on him.
A small health bar, man. Gotta be careful there. Team Liquid starts up the night camp on the right side with the Immortal spawning in about 5 seconds. We should have them pushing for either team. Team Liquid in a good spot to clear that out, though, with Junkrat to the bottom part. And already starting to poke on the Immortals. We'll see who will be stressed out enough here. As JPL begins defense, but at the same time, Hasselhoff's and crew doing the same to the top.
Yeah, camp taken, and at the bot lane, Junkrat is now starting to poke. Not only against the camp, but he can also apply a bit of Immortal pressure. The earlier level 5, Hazobs again with the vision on level 4. Going straight for it, so we're seeing them with the Dust of Appearance.
Poik poking a little bit here. Junkrat had to go to the bottom lane to clear out that camp. And Snitch will have to do the same towards the top. So they're pushing in for Team Liquid, trying to find that breaking point. Wubby actually joining in here. Pushing that in a little bit more, which allows Poik to step forward. Yeah. Putting a lot of damage on that Immortal.
The poke through Hanzo is going to be fantastic for Team Dignitas, and that's really something that Liquid has to respect with that setup. Stun into stun on the other hand. That was a good one, and the silence is immediately there. That's a lot of free damage against JPL. He's trying to turn it around against Muradin. That's not quite happening. But keep in mind that Muradin still has his trade, and that kicks in as they are attempting to go for JPL once again. Garrosh, the decent spot. Force of Will comes out. Eternal is trying to get away here. Gets thrown and goes down. First blood on the side of Dignitas.
Splendor slows down Dignitas, though, with the silence. Wubby trying to do their best here on the right to keep possible ups and them in the area. But Dignitas starting to group up so Malfurion can top them off. The problem is, Xaylia's getting kind of low on mana here, and Dig may have to back up.
Yeah, they're not getting a lot out of the kill that they just got. They're not even able to put any pressure onto the Immortal for the reasons you just pointed out. No mana on Malfurion that forces him back. And in the meantime, Junkrat already put the traps into position, so they couldn't move up and go for the Immortal. So it's still a bit of a standoff that we see here. Liquid sneaking a bit closer to level 7. getting the lead in experience here. But Sonya, of course, is now back to business as the death timer this early in the game is still insanely short.
Yeah, facing off against Wobby as well. Genji sneak in here, using that mobility. Able to get a little damage on the Immortal. Narc and Splendor will chase him away. But it's a game of cat and mouse, it feels like.
I like that actually Snitch is the one who eats all the Junkrat damage at the top. It's like, Snitch, you started that.
A little harassment, yeah.
It's your fault. It's your fault that we have this much Junkrat now.
Poor Snitch, man. Do you think he's ready to take on the brunt of the blame?
No,
for the rest of the world?
Not at all.
Not at all.
And I also think he's absolutely okay with it.
Poke continues to come out there from that Junkrat. Eternal sneaks over here and gets a decent amount of damage actually on this Immortal. But Snitch and Wobby come over.
The thing is also you have to be really careful if you're Team Liquid because, I mean, all the jokes about Snitch and Junkrat aside, like, the guy is an absolute boss, and if you give him just one opportunity, he's going to completely wreck you. And that's something that Liquid has to be aware of. If Snitch sees an opening, he's going to take it, and he's going to punish you hard. And with the poke that we have through Poik, it's also going to... There should be plenty of opportunities for him later to just pop off and get these resets. So Liquid has to be insanely careful with how they play this.
There's so many skirmishes happening right now. There are 3 that was just happening about 10 seconds ago.
Yeah.
You had 2 fights on the right, you had 1 on the left, and you had 4 above the top trying to deal with the 3 that were trying to push in.
They're absolutely everywhere. This is really reminiscent of Dragonshy in the games that we had before. It's just like these little skirmishes and fights that we have on all places of the map. It's happening again. Sonya already fighting off against Snitch, who's now down here at the bottom, and Wobby, Eternal, needs the portal, and Hazorps, he has to always just focus his attention to the top, to the bottom, trying to provide portals to escape, to maybe initiate, looking for an opening. But yeah, the poke battle is basically spot on. Both of them on roughly the same amount of hit points on the Immortal, but Liquid still with that tiny little bit of extra experience in their hands.
Yeah, they also etched their way to be close in terms of Immortal race and get the halftime show. Being able to enable Sonya with those shields have been just enough. Speaking of Sonya, she takes Snitch and puts him down to a quarter health. Team Liquid looking to get a little aggressive here, jumps away as JPL goes for the throw, but Junkrat able to escape.
Yeah, Nurok barely able to get out of there. The one hero that we have to really watch out for is especially Stukov, because there's so much pressure on Splendor the entire time, and he is the one who is lacking a lot of the mobility that the rest of the team has. Again, trying to go for a quick kill here. At this point, Race, there we have Hazorps in trouble, needs to be very careful. 28 stacks right now. We all remember what happened on the last map, and we still see Team Liquid trying to defend. But the thing is, Dignitas is starting to edge out a massive lead in hit points on the Immortal.
The Scatterer build from Hanzo, just chunking it down. The Immortal finally gets cleaned up with the final Stormbow, and Team Liquid will have to deal with the Immortal pushing in as Dignitas gets the first one of the game.
Yeah, the pressure play through Hanzo is just absolutely fantastic. The poke is so much better for Team Dignitas right now, and they are abusing that factor, of course, beautifully. Poik in particular, just chunking that down. And I mean, this is working exactly as intended from Dignitas' perspective. This should also propel them to level 10 a lot quicker than what Liquid can accomplish here.
Sounds comes out from Splendor, trying to clear up those minion waves while the rest of his team works on dealing with the Immortal. We'll go into melee here. Deals with a gate, gets a turret as well. A little bit of a jumping experience here for Dignitas to get towards that 10. Sonya doing the same though in the bottom lane, bullying out that Tyrael, who's holding his own with the experience. Jumping up for Dig. If they can find another minion wave or get a kill right now, they can hit 10 and try to force a fight.
There comes the root, and that could be a problem for Sportbilly, but he moves away, and there's a portal also on the ground. But again, it's Dignitas with the early level 10, and they go immediately in. The arrow hits home, and here comes the Dragon Blade. Muradin trying to get out, and they escape with every single hero. Well played by Liquid as they grab their own level 10. They still lose out on the 4th though.
Neurog thinking about going for a fight. Hasselhoff drops on the portal. Neurog comes in for a little bit of harassment, but JPL is already on top of the mount and able to escape. So if Fort goes down, Team Dignitas gets that top lane pushing in.
That was still a scary moment.
That was.
Immediately 3 ults just dropped right away. And if Malfurion, for example, gets close enough to drop another root in a Twilight Dream, that just lights out. Like, all of Team Liquid's heroes just barely got away, with the exception of Sonya at the bot lane, of course. But that was a big, big part of this. So now we have 10 versus 10. And Leyline Seal, this time on the side of Medivh. We are currently seeing Hazorps at 30 stacks. Muradin, by the way, has 20. just to give you a bit of an update on where we're currently sitting with 2. And once more, here comes the silence, immediately trying to go for the point, but this is Snitch going for Splendor, and the shove comes out. JPL is low, Eternal gets the kill against him, but the counter kill against Stukov as Genji is just going for it.
Yeah, and he has a possible reset set available. Here goes the arrow into it. Snitch gets the kill. Sportbilly on the back right, and Leyline is able to stop the full push, but 2 kills have already came out. The damage has been done. Dignitas is able to break down this bottom lane. Now, good news, Team Liquid was able to grab the Merc camp, so that kind of mitigates a little bit.
Yeah, Leyline was just a second too late. It was meant to save the heroes here, but that just didn't work out. Top lane now, heavy pressure. This is where we are seeing Tyrael headed to pick up the experience. The heroes are, of course, going to be back for Liquid. They're only half a level behind, but that was still a fantastic turnaround for Dignitas. They lose Garrosh, but then thanks to the ult on Hanzo, and also, of course, the resets on Genji, they are able to pick up additional kills. So that was exceptionally well played by them.
And here we go, second Immortal phase of the game. Hanzo steps up and starts to burn down this Immortal, and Dignitas will be able to grab an early lead. Team Liquid threatening some defense here as they push on over, and Sonya works on the Immortal herself, but with Genji distracting her on the back right side, Team Liquid will have to be careful.
Yeah, once again, we have to also watch out for Hazops. He's on 33 stacks. If he falls as he did in the last game, this is going to be a massive blow against him. Sport Billy is now about to complete his own quest talent, just needs one more Stormbolt, and he's going to hit the Pierce. But we still see Dignitas taking that lead, and it's just Hanzo chunking away the entire time. Not even Eternal can make up for all that pressure with his Sonya.
It's kind of a weird catch-22, because you have Poik who's trying to poke there, get the scatter arrow constantly on the Immortal, and then you have Team Liquid coming up trying to defend, but every time Team Liquid comes in and they don't jump on the Hanzo, that's an auto attack, or 2 coming out, allowing that never outmatched to allow Dignitas to get that lead. And it's even a substantial one here. This Immortal's already down to half points, and Dignitas is in a great defense. They're about to hit level 13 with Genji in the top lane, and if they can just buy some time here, they'll be able to fight against Team Liquid with a talent advantage. Yeah,
Liquid has a big problem here. The talent advantage that you spoke of is so imminent that they will have to fight down a talent at some point. I mean, Dignitas is going to snap engage here once that they have the advantage, and that's exactly what we're seeing from them now. They go for Sport Billy, and he has the Dwarf Toss. We talked about that early on, that this is a big asset for him. Splendor again with the silence, but how do they get a kill right now? The pressure comes from Liquid, and we still see Team Liquid in a very defensive position that they have to take now. The problem is, once that you are in that defensive spot, Hanzo's just going to chunk you and the Immortal away.
I mean, it comes down to Sport Billy landing a Stormbolt, right, on someone important, dropping into the silence from Splendor. That's how they get the kills, but again, with them getting a talent disadvantage, as you mentioned, it might be too hard. Here's a Rip Tire, but easily cleaned up by Poik. A Therno pops Wrath as well, and Dignitas just backs up.
Yeah, they're doing a great job just shutting these Rip Tires down, shutting the entire engage on. Liquid has to move forward. They actually need to move up into this, because if they don't, then Hanzo is just going to win it for them. 37 stacks now for Hazop, so he needs 3 more, and then he's done with his own quest. As we see Wooby starting to engage, and Nurok is low. Force of Will coming out. Snitch is looking for it, and he gets the kill. The arrow comes out from Hanzo, and then the immediate kill. Splendor is barely getting out of there, but Snitch is still trying to get close enough. He's already nipping at Hazo's heels and nearly getting the kill confirmed here, but Sport Billy moves away. The 3 of them able to escape as Sonya was still clearing the bottom, but that just means once again that the Immortal ends up in the hands of Team Dignitas.
Exactly. No additional kills, but a great distraction. Snitch with that Dragon Blade looking for the pickups. Didn't get it, but the Immortal, pretty big here. And it will be pushing in the bottom lane. And we're getting to a point here, we gotta ask, do we have Dignitas group up as 5 and push in the bottom lane? So far, the answer seems to be no, as Tyrael heads to the top and deals with Sonya.
The question is also, how much do nerfs play a role now? Liquid was in the 2-0 lead, commanding lead in the series, and then Dignitas started to pick up win after win, and both were close games. Towers of Doom was close, and so was Dragonshire. But now we're going on to the last map, and it's all of a sudden Dignitas who starts to use that momentum from those previous 2 maps to get ahead. And they are taking a massive lead in experience now. 2 levels ahead, and Liquid is still in a spot where they are trying to somehow fire an even talents, but they haven't even defeated the Immortal yet. And that's a problem, since that bad boy could very well walk straight into the keep itself.
This might be one of the ways to do it here, though. JPL gets thrown over the wall. He gets low on health, but able to heal on up. Zaylee is struggling here on the back line, thinking about at some point dropping the Twilight Dream. Gets around just enough to escape over there. I can't believe he lived. The Immortal now on the keep. Team Liquid has to turn their attention towards it, but Snitch, he's chasing.
Nice shot here by Splendor. defender, but he's going to be the target any second now. They're already pushing him in. Here comes the taunt, and they go straight into Stukov, and he is down. The ley line comes out, but can they get the kill? Here comes the ice block. Malfurion about to go down, and they get him. Finally, Hazorps protects himself. The quest is completed. He falls. No reset on his part, but Eternal tries to put the pressure in, but once again, it's Snitch who just drops everybody. Snitch goes in, and so does Tyrael, and that's 3 kills confirmed. Only Malfurion has died on the side of Dig.
The keep was fallen as well. The Immortal got to the core, got a little bit of armor off there, but nothing too crazy. Team Liquid finds themselves 2 levels behind their opponents here. Let's go ahead and check out this fight one more time. Splinter goes forward, gets Genji away from the fight, but the massive shove actually keeps him there a little bit too long. Garrosh able to step up, drop off the combo, go for the kill, and with Stukov falling, Team Liquid tried to answer back. A great leyline seal into an ice block. Now Furion lives for a second here, a shield comes out, but it just wasn't enough. But Hazorps had to overstep to help secure that kill. He gets thrown over, and we have the kills follow up.
The big problem was that when Stukov pushed Genji away, Hazorps was expecting him to be able to use the portal on that position. But the moment he drops the portal, Garrosh throws Stukov out. And all of a sudden, there's just no way, even with a force of will, for Stukov to make it safely to the portal. And I think that was a bit of a miscalculation. If he would have anticipated the throw and just waited and put the portal into position there, maybe Stukov can escape and then they can reset from that point on. But that wasn't the case. And that kill definitely threw a big wrench into the entire setup that we saw for Liquid there. And now they struggle to get 16.
They're struggling to get 16, and Dignitas right now in a comfy position, pushing the top lane here, demanding the attention of Team Liquid to be in that area. Medivh floating around, as well as a few members from Team Liquid, so they can clear that out. But this allows Dignitas to pull back and grab a forward position on the Immortal, which is something that you want when you have a Hanzo.
I mean, there's absolutely no doubt what has to happen here. Liquid needs 16, and then they need to fight and win it. If that doesn't happen, if there's another big Immortal for Dignitas, even if it's not game, let's say they can defend the core, chances are they're going to lose the keep. And once that happens, you have 2 lanes pushing against you, and in Battlefield of Eternity, that's usually a death sentence. Especially if your opponent is still holding on to both their forwards. So Liquid needs that talent. They might have to let the halftime show go, but they need a fight that they can win. And so far, we haven't seen it.
And Hanzo's working on that halftime show, as you just mentioned. 16 is right around the corner. Looks like one more wave should be enough.
Junkrat at the bot lane. Junkrat is in trouble.
He's being jumped on. Will be going for it. Neurok here on the right. Zelly coming in as well, helping out the harassment. A force was the last second, but here's a Snitch as he comes in.
Snitch is, as we said before, you give him a chance, he's going to take it. Snitch popping off here. JPL is low, but look at Medivh. Snitch goes in. He doesn't get it. The ley line saves Medivh for now. Great player by Hazu, but he still falls as Snitch gets the cooldown back on his Swift Strike and uses it to drop Medivh. That's the double kill they needed, and right now the chase is just all over the place. Dignitas, they want to go for the core, and they are so close to getting it. There's only 3 heroes to defend. The silence comes through. Can Liquid somehow hold on?
The catapult is still here in the back left, but Eternal is cleaning that up. However, the armor is already shredded and the core is falling down at 60, down to 50. Team Liquid steps forward. Neurok comes back and he drops down a Riptire, but the Sanctification should buy enough time here for Dignitas to focus the core and get the win. They will pull off the reverse sweep and beat Team Liquid 3-2.
Dignitas, just absolute fantastic performance here. They lose the first 2 maps, and then they are able to bring it back. Starting with Towers of Doom, 3 wins in a row. And for Team Liquid, of course, a crushing defeat, but they can still get out of this series with their head held high.
That they can, man. Team Liquid definitely in the first couple of games looking great, even in Game 3 and Game 4. Game 5, a little bit difficult for them. It felt like Dignitas finally hit their stride, but you gotta be proud of them. If you are a Team Liquid fan, let them know that today they showed up against the best here in Europe. I mean, they won the Western Clash, Dignitas themselves. You cannot be ashamed about today's loss.
Especially considering that Liquid didn't even make it to the Western Clash. So at this point, they just brought Dignitas to the last map, and let's face it, they could have won it. You could argue on some of those they should have won it, but it was still a great performance from them today. And as we said at the beginning of the series, after map 1, if they can show that same level of play throughout the rest of the season until the mid-season brawl, That would be absolutely fantastic because they looked stronger today than they ever did this year.
Now you got a question if Dignitas is thinking about, okay, those first couple of losses, was that on our fault? Was it a meta thing? Was it a draft thing? How did we have things not figured out? Were we not fully awake? Was Wilby still sleeping? Things that we're going to definitely ask them when we pull up this interview here. But it seems like Game 3, Game 4, Game 5, the Dignitas that we expected is back, and they were looking quite dominant. Garrosh also becoming a big factor today. Did you expect to see so much from him?
Yes, after the Eastern Clash,
Yeah.
Western Clash already towards the end showed that his priority was rising with Zealots, with also Dignitas playing him a lot more than the added priority that we already saw at the Eastern Clash. So I really expected Garrosh to be a huge factor. The same for also Sonya and Medivh through the reworks. AD already talked about how he feels Medivh is even stronger now than he was before. And that just got emphasized by everyone prioritizing him. Not only the Zealots, which we are used to, but at this point also Liquid and Dignitas. And I think that's a trend that will continue throughout the weekend, no matter who plays.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if we are going to start to see a little bit more Medivh bans, which suddenly opens up Maiev more, and now we have this weird spot where our first 5 to 6 heroes are actually incredibly strong.
Exactly, because all of a sudden it's not only about banning out Maiev, you ban out Garrosh, you ban out... There's so much to potentially ban, and I still think everybody is trying to figure this out. How do we deal with Medivh, with Sonya, with Garrosh, and what do we really need to get rid of by banning it out? Keep in mind that Liquid, for example, decided for this series in particular to always ban out Tracer.
I mean, speaking of people trying to figure out what the meta is, let's go over to Dignitas Snitch, very own here. Hello, Snitch. Welcome to the HGC. That was a series, buddy.
Yeah, it was a very close and exciting series, I think. I think Liquid really showed up today, and it proved that they've done a lot of good practice throughout the break. We definitely didn't expect them to come in swinging as strong as they did, and I think they were really impressive today, and they deserve a lot of props for that.
Yeah, tell me about your mindset. Game 1, game number 2, pretty close games. Game number 2, a little bit more Team Liquid favor. Do you feel like they just had a better handle on the meta, or they just come out firing in general?
I think they have a really good grasp on the meta. I think, you know, we're figuring out as we're going. We've been practicing and trying a lot of different things, so it's kind of tough for us, I think, to identify exactly what was really, really good. I think while it may have seemed like some of their comps were a bit limited, like once we took away some of the pieces, it felt like their draft started to falter. I do think they had a really good understanding of the meta coming in, and definitely caught us off guard the first 2 games.
Awesome. Over to Caldor.
First of all, insane series. Congratulations for winning it. Reverse sweep, not bad. I got a quick question when it comes to the meta and just your personal thoughts on how it will develop in the near future. Because when we looked at the first part of 2018, we've seen a lot of heroes that were involved in basically every single game and very high ban rates on Genji, for example. Do you feel that after this weekend, or after maybe next week, we're still going to have 2 heroes that are going to be banned out all the entire time? Because the one thing that stood out for me today is that we had very diverse bans and also very diverse first picks. There was a core of, I would say, 5 to 6 heroes that made the bunch of it, but that was very much more than what we've seen in the first part. Would you agree with that, or do you think there are going to be like 1, 2 heroes that everybody is going to focus their attention to again?
I think I'll definitely agree that it's getting a bit more diverse in terms of what the core pool is. And I think it's a lot more interesting as well. I think when a hero like Medivh is so popular, it makes the draft a lot more interesting because the compositions you can pick with him, it's not as flexible as like a standard draft would be. So it brings a lot of these like slightly like less popular heroes into the meta because they fit the role better. So I think it is kind of interesting for that sort of regard. I don't know if I can say the bans are too variable. They did ban Tracer all 5 games.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if the bans were too much this thing, but there's also a big patch change next week, which I think will shake it up again because a lot of the popular heroes are getting nerfed like Maiev. So I think it will again shake up even after this week. But yeah, I do think it is a little bit more variable right now, and I do agree that it's a more interesting core pool of heroes at the top.
We are still very early in part 2 of phase 1, and I would really like your personal take with how Zealots performed at the Western Clash, with what we just saw from Team Liquid, and of course then also looking at teams like Method and also Fnatic. Outside of you, let's say you guys make it to the mid-season brawl, you're set. Who do you think, now that we are starting into part 2, who do you expect to be the 2 teams that go to the mid-season brawl with you?
I think if it was just based solely off week 1 play, I think I'd probably say, at least, I mean, I don't know too much about Fnatic because obviously we haven't been practicing with them, but my understanding is they're doing very well right now. It's going to be very exciting to play them tomorrow to see where they truly match up, but I think Zealots will probably be a guaranteed spot. I think, you know, their meta remains very diverse. Their style remains very difficult to play against. I think they can take any other team in the league. on some days, and on other days, they'll fall apart. But I think most of the time, especially now that ADRD, I think it was mentioned earlier about his ping issues. I think that was a significant part of the last or the beginning of the phase. So yeah, I think they will look a lot stronger, and I think we do expect them to make it to the mid-season. In terms of the other team, I think it could be Fnatic, it could be Method. Those would be my first two picks. Past that, I think everyone has a chance, but I think either Fnatic, Method, and Zealots would be my two picks to attend the Brawl with us.
So you would actually expect that Team Liquid is going to struggle making it even in those spots, even though they performed well today, just because of inconsistency in the past?
Sure, yeah. I think they're just coming up against teams that have already established themselves, and even if Team Liquid are starting to catch up, they're still doing exactly that, catching up. So I think with teams like Zealots and even like Fnatic and Method, they've already shown these really dominant performances that I think Liquid kind of failed to deliver at the beginning. There's definitely a chance Liquid can make it. I wouldn't count them out. Same with Tricked, honestly. I think Tricked have a very good squad as well, and they also have a chance to make the mid-season. I think the third slot, past at least Zealots right now for me, could go to anyone. But I think I would probably say that us and Zealots are pretty much confirmed unless something drastic happens, and then that third spot will just be a toss-up for anyone or whoever grows the most over the rest of the season.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Awesome to hear insights before the second part of Phase 1 starts, because so far it looks like Europe is closer together than ever. So yeah, thank you very much.
Can't wait to be completely wrong, by the way. I'm sure we won't even qualify.
Yeah, I mean,
it'll be like leftovers, first seed, I don't know.
I'm obviously putting you on the spot
crazy will happen.
even before you've seen the other teams play. It was just to gauge a little bit what do you think the power level is like. But we've seen a lot of development in Part 1, kind of expected for Part 2 as well. But it's always kind of interesting to hear your insights on that. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Snitch. Insightful as always. I'm going to let you go so you can prepare your match tomorrow against Fnatic. But before you leave, the floor is yours for shoutouts. Let's hear them.
Shoutouts to my team. We played well today once we got a bit warmed up, Make sure to check out our series tomorrow against Fnatic. I think it'll be really close and competitive, and we'll give a good understanding of where all the teams are after the Western Clash. Shoutouts to Team Dignitas and our sponsors, and all of our fans at our viewing party in the Discord. Wowie, or they'll kill me, as per the usual. But thank you to all the fans watching, and we can't wait to see you again tomorrow.
Awesome. Big win here.